Alrighty, y'all. The Sales Bro Pod. I believe this is episode 15, maybe episode 16, depending on when it comes out. Uh, this time around, we got Bernardo, someone I've gotten to work with pretty closely over the last couple of weeks. Known him for a little bit now, met online, and a solid guy. So thought he'd
hmm
be a good guy to have on. Bernardo, appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you for the intro. Pleasure being here with you, Dylan.
So let's get right into it, man. So we can give
hmm
the audience some context as to who you are and what you're up to. You know, you're meeting someone for the first time. What do you tell them about yourself? What do you tell them about what you do?
Cool. So I run Avalanche. So we're a growth consulting business for online-based businesses and marketing agencies. So there's a lot of technical jargon, but in a nutshell, what we do for business owners is we help them with client acquisition, and then we help them with operations that will help them sustain the level of growth and acquisition that will bring them in. Very simply put, that's what we do for businesses.
Yeah, there's not many people doing both ends of that, huh?
hmm Yeah, I think people usually tend to focus on one of the areas. So you see like these billions of guys on Twitter doing lead generation, then you see the odd guy working on operations, and then you have a few guys that do it really well in terms of like operations and growth. So yeah, I think we're kind of trying to fit in that specific space of growth partnering, and then on top we're also working on content, which we'll talk about here today. But I think it's huge, especially in the times that we live in.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for context, what kind of companies do you work with?
Cool. So initially, we started working only with established business owners, right? So what the focus of our work was focus on client acquisition, bringing clients in, working on the operation side as well to make sure that they can take in that level of sustained growth, and then helping them with content to be able to build authority to bring into their offer, right? So this is mostly done for you and done with you. But then we've decided to also implement a lower ticket offer, which essentially fulfills kind of the same purpose. But instead of us doing the acquisition and instead of us doing like all of the operational and sales work, we teach people on how to do this, which is exactly where you fit in. So if the audience doesn't know, you're helping us as well by giving some coaching calls on sales to people in our cohort. And so that's where we currently stand. So even though we have two different offers, the service is essentially the same, just executed differently.
And it's for like B2B services primarily.
Yeah, I would say like 99% of clients will be agency owners. Then you'll get like the odd consultant or coach, but mostly, yeah, agency owners.
Okay, cool. Cool, man. So I doubt that's the first thing that you've ever tried, and I doubt it's like stuck overnight and you just ran with it because that's hardly ever the story here.
Yeah,
Let's take it back. I mean,
yeah.
how did you
hmm
how did you find yourself in this whole like online entrepreneurship space?
Okay. So if we take it all of the way back, I was born in Portugal, right? In a tiny place called Madeira, which is on the outside of Africa, right? It's a tiny island, just right in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, which is essentially known for breeding Cristiano Ronaldo, right? That's it, pretty much. So then I figured like I'll be no one if I stay here for the rest of my life. So I went to the UK, right, to London to study there in university, did finance, and my idea was like, if I want to be wealthy, I need to go into like investment banking or I need to go into corporate private banking, whatever it is, right? So the first job that I had about 4 years ago was in asset management for a US company called Vanguard, which you know yourself for the ETFs and a big investment firm. Worked there and absolutely hated it. I just didn't enjoy it one single bit. So then I kind of sat down and I was like, okay, there's two ways for me to get to like a, financially free position. One is if I go down like the private route, like the venture capital route, start a business, give it my all for like 10, 20 years, sell the business in a few years for like millions or billions and live like a slave to the business until then. Or I can go down the route of, service-based businesses, all that sort of stuff in the online space. Iman Gadzhi was starting to come up, so I was looking like at his videos and stuff. But I was like, okay, let me take a shot in the dark and go with the first option. So I essentially started a Web3 company, which was working in like DeFi markets as crypto was starting to boom. And it gave me a really good understanding of what it is like to build company culture, what it is to work remotely. And this was just as COVID was starting as well. So beginning of 2021, raised 700K pounds, which is the equivalent of $1 million for that business, which is insane, which is super sick. But then during, all of this crypto debacle and all of the issues that happened with crypto, business went to shit, right? So back to square zero, came to the position. I was like, okay, tried the first option, so now I'm going to need to go into the second option, right? What do I know about business? I know for a fact that I'm not going back into like the corporate route and get stuck in the rat race. So let me try out option two. So what I did then was I started a Web3 marketing agency and helping SaaS businesses as well. Did that for a bit. But then as I was coming into sales calls, and this is something I wanted to touch on with you as well after when we speak about sales, like there was always this condescending factor when you talk to business owners, right? Because it's like, even though you're giving them something, you're providing a service for these business owners and you're helping them with X, Y, or Z pain point, they feel like you need them more than they need you. And especially as you're starting out, this is a huge problem, right? Because it creates this psychology in sales. So I was like, fuck this shit. I don't want to work with these guys. Can I curse, by the way? No issue, right? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
I was like, fuck this shit. I don't want to work with these bastards. Like, it doesn't make any sense for me to work with them because, like, I just don't enjoy it. I don't feel fulfilled. My agency has grown, like, a bit, made it past 10K and had a bit of an understanding of systems and stuff. So I was like, okay, let me look into, like, working with other agencies because, like, there will be guys just like me, like 20 years old or like 25, whatever it is, just starting out, probably share some of the same experiences as me. And it did check out, right? So initially what we started doing was we were doing lead gen. So we were doing lead gen by using appointment setters and all this sort of stuff. Didn't work great because you need to micromanage appointment setters. Insane complication. Then we got into like proper lead generation as like email marketing, and then we essentially evolved into the growth partner model, at which we stand today. So kind of a long-winded answer, but this is how we got here.
Yeah. So when did you get out of university?
I got 2019.
2019. Okay, and then you got
4 years ago.
You were picking up on the service-based business. I mean, I think a lot of before Iman Ghazi was like the guy he is today, I think a lot of us on this corner of the internet, we kind of knew about him, and we were following him for that kind of content, not the content of like Escape the Matrix type stuff.
Yeah.
Why Web3?
Whole different conversation. Why Web3?
Why?
Yeah. Why Web3? I mean, I just got presented with a good opportunity, right? I went through something in the UK which is called the Entrepreneur First. So that's essentially an accelerator. Really sick concept, by the way. So the concept of this accelerator is, instead of you having a business idea, you just know that you want to do business, right? And you would know that you want to start a startup. So what they do is, like, they do a few interviews, right? They pull together a few guys that have these skills, or what would be deemed the skills of an entrepreneur, right? Team building, whatever it is, who the fuck cares, right? Put together those guys, and then they run classes on whatever it is, right? So on how to like build a team, or how to come up with ideas for problems that you want to solve. Very similar to what we do in an actual business. And then you come up with the idea in the cohort. So I joined two other guys in this program, and then we came up with this idea of going into Web3 as it was starting to ramp up. So timing was of the essence, of course.
Okay. You said that program is Entrepreneur First. Is that like a big thing over there?
Yeah, I think they raised like 500 mil, something like that. It's really big, yeah, really big in the UK. Yeah, and they have like unicorns that came out of those businesses. Like the concept and the concept itself is sick, because you just get founders that have no idea of what they're doing. They take a percentage of all of the businesses that are funded through the accelerator, even if they don't put in any capital or anything. And then yeah, just make the connections and give them like the space to flourish, I guess, which is a good idea, good business model.
Yeah, that's interesting. What was I see a lot of people doing just lead gen these days. Like I've got some friends who do it, and it's it seems like a pretty pretty easy. Like if you can crack the code and find a niche, like it's pretty easy way to get to like 10K, 15K a month.
Hmm.
What were some of the biggest complications that you found as you were working like strictly lead gen? I know you mentioned the appointment setters, but what else were you running into?
Yeah. I mean, I think the problem that comes with anything that you're selling, and you'll tell me this better than I'll tell you, but it comes down to the offer, right? So you can literally sell anything to anyone as long as the offer is good, right? So I don't think it's the service itself that's saturated, but it's mostly the offer. Like you have these guys that are really good at doing lead gen and they're, printing, right? But you have other guys who just have no clue and can't land any clients because it's a market and a niche that's saturated itself. So I would say positioning, like, because the majority of the people that I would get into a call with, they're like, cool, you do this, but so do 1,000 other guys. Why are you different? I can't really tell you, right? We do the same thing. We scrape the leads from the same place. Is the copy that substantially different from business provider to business provider? Not really. So there's not really a differentiating factor. I can give you better guarantees, maybe like a 60-day guarantee, or maybe I can give you an MRR guarantee or something like that, number of appointments booked, but essentially the service is the same. And so like that's why I also stirred away from doing lead gen and try to encompass something else into the service.
Yeah. When you switched from straight lead gen to quote unquote growth partner where you're doing kind of a little bit of everything,
Mm-hmm.
did you add in
Mm-hmm.
the content piece? Did you add in the sales piece? Did you add in like the operations all at once in addition to lead gen, or did you kind of like
No.
add these in one by one?
Yeah. So we started with content first, right? So because the idea, once again, you need to go back to the root of the problem, right? You have an offer, and whenever you craft this offer, you craft it alone because you come up with the offer alone. Okay, I'm going to do lead gen. I'm going to charge this, this, and this. These are going to be the guarantees. But the only way the offer is validated is if you actually go to the market, test it on the market, and you get feedback if the offer actually works and what common objections you have. And none of these objections are pricing, right? Exclude pricing because that's not really an objection, as you know. So the first objection that we got was probably in regards to content, right? So we need to add something else because it makes sense, right? So you're acquiring clients outbound. How can you acquire clients inbound? Content. Second thing that came was like, okay, I have clients now, but I don't know how to sell. Easy piece of the puzzle. So you add the sales. And now something that we're looking at adding, mostly for the coaching program that we're doing, is bringing in like automations. So we're developing like proprietary automations that we want to bring in for the clients and for them to be able to use those same automations, which means that we improve the service when it comes to lead gen as well. Because instead of doing email marketing and targeting businesses using the exact same approach that everyone else is doing, now you also differentiate yourself within the way in which you acquire clients, which is something that we're testing out now. So even in that specific vertical of the business, you have a competitive advantage to those people that just offer that vertical. So not only you're better, but you do
Mhm.
more. Yeah.
What other, I guess, going forward, what other pillars do you think there's still room to cover? I mean, I've got content, sales, fulfillment, and now most recently automations. Is there anything that comes to mind when you think of what's next?
Mm, well, that needs to come from the market. I need to know what people actually want. And once again, I think like whenever like especially for like higher ticket offers and like done for you services. It's not like you have a strict service, right? It's not like an agency that's doing 300K a month comes to me and they're like, okay, like I need help with content, I need help with this, and that, and I just plug them the offer that I usually have standardized, right? It's more of you have building blocks to your service and then you put them together and you tailor the offer based on the pain points of the prospect. The only thing that I could see that potentially could be done in the future is correlated to hiring, right? Because that's one of the bottlenecks that people face scaling up their business. I think firstly is systems, right? Being able to deliver efficiently on the resources that you have. And then it's hiring, getting someone else to deliver with the same efficiency instead of you so that you can move out of the business as a business owner. So hiring, but hiring is a whole different game, which I at the moment don't have much interest in delving into.
Yeah, whole different game completely.
Yeah.
I just want to make a
Yeah.
note for people listening. The way that you and I met, I can't remember if you were referred to me by somebody or if you messaged
Mm,
me on Twitter.
I was referred.
Were you?
I was referred, but I have no clue who I was referred by. I can probably find that, but I have no clue.
Yes. Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is like Bernardo was referred to me, and back then, this was like February maybe. I referred a sales manager who actually was from my community, who then pulled three sales reps from my community and put them on Bernardo's team.
Yeah.
And then things changed around, and then
And
Bernardo was looking for.
and he coached and he coached people as well within the business. Yeah.
So he did that. Things changed around. Now I'm going to step in and start coaching myself. And then the automations guy that we just brought on was a referral from me. So what does that tell everybody listening? Like, you just need to know
I
people.
mean,
You just need to know people
absolutely.
because, like, we're talking me, sales manager, three sales reps, and the automation guy, all referred. Like, I don't know when the last time it was where you like were cold DMing people saying, "Hey, will you join my team?" But um,
Yeah.
yeah, this is a really big thing, specifically the like high ticket sales or the this appointment setting and closing space is just it's just who you know, 100%.
Yeah.
So
100%. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you. I mean, man, you're probably, I'd assume, pretty well rounded, having the experience that you have. You know about content, you know about sales, you know about fulfillment. Like, what's your vision when you're bringing on coaches for each? Is it simply to kind of just build a really strong foundation for scale, or what's your goal when you do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think that there's essential pillars to scaling your business, and like that these apply to like online based businesses. And I think one is having a very good offer, right? If you have something that's worth selling, you'll sell it quite easily if you have a way of acquiring clients, which takes you to point number two, acquiring clients. The only way in which you can't sell your offer, which is already something unreasonable to say no to, is if you're terrible at selling. So the way that you do the bridge is by coaching someone or placing a closer or just in general coaching someone on how to sell. And then it all goes back to content because, and this is something that I tell everyone, and I think it's so true. Like the business that generates the most revenue is not the business that has the best service, but it's the business that's been able to aggregate the most amount of attention, right? The reason probably someone like in the sales space does more money than you is because they have simply got more attention. More people know them, more people buy into their services. Same thing why some of my competitors might make more money, even though I wholeheartedly believe that our service is better, is because they have more people that know about their services, right? And that's just the L that I have to take. Like I'm not there yet, and that's why I have to focus on building up that content, building up that authority, get the word out there that you do this and you solve these issues, and then it's just like a long term investment content. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I've started to see that myself where it's like, my account, there's definitely people with larger accounts than me on social media. But because of like, the results that people are getting and the good word of mouth, like it's starting to compound to where it's like, I would argue that like the amount of members, let's talk about my like sales community, the amount of members that join
Mm-hmm.
off of referral is like probably right there with direct marketing at this point. And it's because over the last year, I've just day in, day out, like showed up and done whatever I could within that group to help people find success. And I think I'd imagine you building this the way that you are building it, kind of slower, more higher quality. It's only a matter of time until these people start getting results, and then they're like, dude, you have to work with Bernardo and his team, and then, now you find yourself in a spot where it's like you might have less attention on your offer, but you've got a client base
Mm-hmm.
that's getting real results.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And like just so you have an idea, yesterday I had a guy that reached out to me, right? No, he didn't even reach out, just booked a call on my Calendly. Full ICP, right? Exactly needing the like the help in the specific pain points that we solve. Was looking for someone to help out with content. was looking to be removed out of the sales process and was looking to book appointments with someone other than like email marketers, and came off of inbound, easily done, 24K deal, right? In 6 months plus 35% commission. Like this is the power of like inbound. Like you don't need to do any work because your work speaks for itself. So I think that's key, right? Like, and you know this yourself firsthand. And I think that we've experienced like this tiny fraction off of it, right? But once you have like an actual huge audience that's very much in line with the audience that you're looking to attract for your own services and offer, then it's like that's the big jump. Otherwise, you're just leaving so much money on the table.
It's so hard to like quantify the value of having a brand around, or like building a business off the back of a brand. Like, is it the best move if you're trying to like exit down the road? Probably not. Does it make it so much easier to get off the ground and like, close one call close people? Absolutely. Like,
Mm-hmm.
speaking from experience, man, if I have an inbound lead that came from my brand and then I hop on the sales call with them, I most of the time, like, I
Done.
don't
Yeah.
even have to run my sales process because like they're already pre-sold. Like, and the fact that I'm on the sales call, not somebody else, like I'll close at 80% on anything like mid or
Yeah.
high ticket that I get on calls with. Um, so yeah, I love that, part of what we're doing here is content being a priority, and then, obviously sales fulfillment, everything that comes behind that. But the content piece is like
Mm-hmm.
invaluable.
It's huge. Yeah. Yep.
So, all right, man. So let's go like back onto the timeline here. You started that lead gen
Mm-hmm.
agency, you ran into some complications. You're like, you know what? There's probably more value in switching to, I don't know if it was even called, because growth partner is like a pretty new term, I feel. But like you switch to this more like,
Yeah.
you know, wider, not wider, but like more extensive model where you're doing a little bit more. And then
Yeah.
you kind of brought in different pieces at different times.
Yep.
How did you already have a brand when you started this, or did you start with like cold outreach?
Cold outreach. And I can tell you it was so hard. It's fucking crazy. Like if you're starting from scratch with no brand, no nothing, like you have to persevere like crazy. You just have to, put in the reps every day. Like I remember like sitting with my friend, like this is like taking it back like to when we were just first starting out, we would like hop on Discord for like 2 hours, and I would only like get up from my chair once I've done like 200 messages on LinkedIn or Facebook or something. Like actually going there and typing everything and like trying to get these appointments. But I mean, like that's the cost of success, I guess. Like you have to go through these hurdles and you have to do like the dirty work to be able to enjoy the rewards of your services and like of the foundation that you build. And like all of these things are like
Yeah.
building blocks because you go through the hurdles, you understand what people struggle with, then you build your business, you test your offers, you understand what people like, what people don't like, you understand how you want to run a business. And like looking back, like there were very like dark times, and I assume you went through the same because all entrepreneurs go through like shit periods. But you look back at it and it's just like it's a building block to the person that you become today. And all of the problems that are yet to come, even if they look like daunting and terrible at the time, they will be building blocks for the future Dylan in like 10 years who's a fucking billionaire in Monaco in a yacht, right? So once it's all said and done and the chapter is closed, you look back and you're like, okay, like that was shit, but it definitely made me who I am today. And so just need to look at failure with a different scope.
Yeah. Dude, I had a lot of failed businesses. Or I wouldn't even call them businesses at that point. I'd call them like endeavors, like they
Yeah.
were attempts. Like I failed drop shipping. I mean, like, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say like I straight failed. I'm going to say I gave up because like drop shipping, I got sales. Copywriting, I had a few clients. Um,
Yeah.
Facebook ads for realtors and um, dude, I mean, I've even made like in person businesses, and I don't know what it was,
Mm-hmm.
man. Like nothing, nothing really clicked and I say this because like for most of this time I was in college and I didn't want to be there, and I was trying to like create something that would allow me to escape, but like I didn't like I wanted to do well in school, so my attention was super super diverted. Um,
Yeah.
and nothing really clicked, man, until I got into sales. And I mean, I was just a sales rep. Like I was just making money as a sales rep, which was cool. And then I started building a brand online,
Hmm.
and that's when I started getting feedback from the market, and they're like, "Hey, we're struggling with this. We want this." And then I created a product around it, and that, I mean, I would say what I'm doing now is actually probably my first successful business that I've ever created. And I'm, talking about a not like, make a couple grand here, a couple grand there, but it wasn't until like
Hmm.
I learned a skill and I got good at it with sales, and then I actually listened to the market and then, found out what they wanted versus just saying, "Oh, I think this would be cool." You know, how
Yeah.
much how much of your success up to this point do you feel is about listening, or it comes from listening to the market versus just thinking what they might want?
I mean, I think that it's a bit of a paradox, because like if you try to go with your own ideas and not listen to the market will tell you itself that it's not going to work, right? And like I think the issue is, and like most of these people that start out, they have these biases, that yeah, this is going to work because I really want it to work. Like it needs to work because I want it to work. But life is unfair, my friend. Like it doesn't work like that, right? So I think it also comes down like to the perseverance that you have, like, and you know this yourself. Like you get put down so many times, and like you look at yourself and you're like, does it even make sense to keep on going? Like I asked myself that question so many times. Like it took me like 6 months to get my first client, and I was like, does it even make sense at this stage, right? What am I doing this for? But then like you just keep going and you keep going, and every step that you take is a small win, right? So I think that's the thing. You have to be extremely humble in business, but above all, you need to analyze things from a rational standpoint and remove emotions as much as possible. Because, and even at this level, which is nothing insane, right? Not like I'm making 1 million a month or anything, but like even at like once you're running a successful business ish, you you still have these biases that you think things are going to work just because you've been able to make things work in the past, but it's not really the case. And you really need to understand what people want, how you can deliver it to them, and then just stick to it in terms of fulfillment. I think that that's essential in the long run if you want to build a successful enterprise.
Yeah. A lot of people come to me and they ask, like, dude, how did you get to where you are? As far as, sometimes it's in regards to like Twitter, sometimes in sales. Um, and then I look back, it's like, dude, I mean, when I first started on Twitter and on online sales,
Hmm.
like I invested at least 20 grand into coaching, different
Yeah.
programs, different networks, resources. And as far as Twitter growth, I've tweeted, almost 5,000 times in a year. So I was curious for you, like where you've kind of learned how to do what you're doing. Are there people that you're studying, or did you ever get into any coaching programs that kind of helped you learn all this?
Mm. Not really. Like in all honesty, like, and I've like the reason I started like my business was because I was going like through a really bad breakup, and I was like, I have two options: either I'm gonna stay here all day smoking weed, or I'm gonna go out and try to do something meaningful out of this. And so I just like and this is something that Hormozy says is like in life you have to understand, like you have, it's not like you live your life in a happiness state and then you have moments of unhappiness. You live your life in a neutral state with moments of unhappiness and happiness. So when you're like creating your own business, you need to make an agreement with yourself with an indefinite time period that you will be unhappy for as long as it takes until your business is successful, right? For as long as it takes, you just have to know like shit's gonna get tough, but you need to put in the hours. And there's no fucking miracle, right? Like for the past 18 months, I've been working like 50, not 15 hours because that's nearly impossible, but like 12 hours a day, easily minimum, every day, no breaks, right? And if you ask me, am I tired? Yeah, but like who gives a shit, right? Who gives a shit? Like when in fucking 10 years, I'm going to be sitting in a fucking yacht or whatever, and just like, it was all worth it, you know? And like, you take out fulfillment out of that. I could be 22 and going out, but that doesn't bring me anything. So just focus on doing something that brings you fulfillment. And kind of going back to the question that you asked, in terms of coaching, not really like I invested in anything in specific, but I just try to consume as much content as possible, right? From what's available online, like to read books, and then you get to meet a lot of people, right? Like one of the things that I heard in the beginning as well is like take all of the sales calls that you can. Even if the lead is extremely unqualified, fuck it, just take it. And I did that, and I took all the calls. I got better at selling, got better at understanding what the market wanted or not. And like, just so you have an idea, I had the call today with a guy, right? I jumped on a call with him for half an hour. He paid me $200 for the call. Last time I had spoken with a guy was in October for half an hour, no discovery call, no follow-ups, no touching base. He was just like, I'm stuck in my business. Can you help me for half an hour? I'll pay you $200. That's it, right? You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So this thing about business and being successful and being lucky, you make your own luck and you set yourself up for success or failure. So if you put in the work every day for an indefinite period of time, you're going to be successful. Like there's no bullshit of I'm going to work 2 hours a day and make millions. Just fucking do the work and the reward will come. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of in one of those stages right now, just like really long days. It's funny because as a sales guy, like most of your day is spent, talking to people. And so now I'm I'm a sales guy, but I'm like I would I would say I'm a business owner too. And so like I'm trying to build stuff, but it's hard to get into that like and I guess you probably run into this as well because you're still taking your sales calls. It's hard to get
Yeah.
into that like deep work state when you have a sales call like every 2 or 3 hours. Do you run into
Yeah.
that issue? And
Yeah. Yeah.
do you try to time block your day a certain way to get away from that?
No. That's my biggest problem because on top of that, I also have team calls. So I have to meet you like once a week, or I have to meet like guys that are executing work for the clients and all that sort of stuff. And so like my day is like, okay, 1 hour of work, sales calls, 2 hours, team meeting, another hour, another sales call. And like that's my biggest problem so far, like organizing my time. And that in a way is why I need to compensate for those hours by working after and or whatever it is, right? And these are small problems that probably could be fixed. Maybe I'm just like I'm so in rooted into the work that I haven't had the chance of like figuring that out, but I probably should.
Yeah, I know you're in the trenches because you were responding to Slack messages. I mean, for me it was like 8 p.m. And for you it must have been what like past midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
responding to Slack
But that,
messages. So
like,
I know you're
but that's
grinding.
fucked. But that's fucked because like, and like I this outside of this podcast, but I wanted to ask this question to you as well, like even on in a private setting. I have this problem, which is like business is my life, kind of, right? Like I hang out with my friends and shit, but like it's not like I can't turn off, right? Because let's say you send me a message saying this client needs to be looked at, or like we need to do this for this client. I'm not gonna be that type of guy that's gonna sit here and be like, nah, I'm just gonna look at that tomorrow morning, like go to sleep and then look into it with a fresh pair of eyes. I want to solve that at the moment because that's the difference between a good service and an excellent service that allows the clients to stay. So question is, how do you manage to have like a very firm line between work and life, have that balance, right? And be able to shut off from business completely.
Dude, it's hard because what like the main thing that I'm running my community, it's like it's I mean the whole premise of why people get in there is like to communicate with other people, right? It's like a network. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of people like as far as the sales jobs, like I'm not as in the trenches as I used to be as far as like seven,
Yeah.
eight calls a day, filling out the CRM till like 9 p.m. Like I'm not in that stage anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like with the own stuff that I'm running, like it's hard, man. And I have my Slack notifications on my phone, and like if I see it at 9 p.m. and I know that I can send a quick like sentence or two, I'll get back. If it's not pressing, I'm not gonna get back until the morning. Um, but I usually like I don't know, dude. Around after I eat dinner, there's not really a time around that. Sometimes it's like 7, 8, 9 p.m. after I eat dinner, like I try to like just stay away from it.
Yeah,
And dude, if you got to me for whatever reason, I mean, with the time difference, this wouldn't happen. But if you got to me at like 10 p.m. and it's
yeah,
like you're asking me about something that's supposed to happen tomorrow, I'm gonna get back to you. But like generally speaking, if it's not
hmm,
pressing, like I don't know what it is. After I eat dinner, like that is the time where it's like I'm done for the day, you know. And sometimes,
yeah,
man, that gets pushed back to like late. It's just like it. You don't. It's not like it's 6 p.m. I'm gonna clock out. It's like no, you clock out when you feel okay about putting it down for
yeah. With
12
clocking
hours
out.
until
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
yeah.
get you. Yeah. But like I feel like even like breaks
But
during the day, like I go to the gym, but like my mind, like I go to the gym usually before lunch. So like I'll go to the gym at like 12, but my mind is still thinking about business. Like I have this thing to do in the afternoon, I have this to do like at this specific time, and I have to get back to this guy. Like it's just always thinking about business. Like sometimes I even wake up like at night to go to the bathroom or something, and I'm like, I'm gonna see if this guy paid the invoice or something. And it's just like
oh
your mind's always racing. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, dude, I find myself like sometimes I'll try to wake up early to get to the gym, and then it'll be like 6 a.m., 6:30, and then I find myself like on Slack on my laptop responding to emails. I'm like, dude, this is not why I woke up early. Like, I should not be doing this right now.
Yeah,
Um, and then at the gym
100%.
too, dude. Like, I like almost have to put my phone in a locker or put it away, or else I'm gonna be responding to people. Like, it's just like I think I've hired somebody recently who's an employee, and
Hmm.
I can tell like they don't, and it's not their business, so I wouldn't necessarily expect them to have the same sense of urgency. But the sense of urgency is not there, and it's like for guys like you and I, it's
Of
like
course.
I'm just gonna do it. Like I have to do it, and I think I'm in that stage too, where my business is so tied in with my life. Like it's hard to differentiate. It's definitely not to the point where it's that glamorous lifestyle business where I can, pick up at any time, fly across the country. I mean, I could, but I'm going to be, on meetings and stuff. Like it's not that
Yeah,
business
yeah,
yet.
yeah, 100%. But
So
based on like on that conversation of the employee and like the motivation, like I've always been like an a fan of the idea that you hire someone like logically depending on the role, but motivation over skill any day of the week. Like I've had guys in which I knew like he's probably not the best fit technically, right? I can probably get someone that's going to be better at doing this specific job, but like this guy really wants to work for me, and he like I can see him, and that's what makes a difference, right? When it's like 10:30 p.m. right, and you're sending him a message like, man, like this campaign needs like this to go out before tomorrow. Can you do it? And he does it out of goodwill, right? And he's just like, I'll do it. Like that for me matters more than the guy that's extremely skillful but doesn't give a shit because he thinks he's too good to do certain things. So yeah, just wanted to touch on that as well.
yeah, dude, I see that so often with appointment setters. It's like these young guys, they want it so bad. If you can get them in like a good vehicle, like they'll outperform a majority of the team, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't have many people on my team. I've got like three. I mean, nobody full time. They're all part time. But yeah, I would much rather hire the person who's just like, I don't care about the resume, man. I'd much rather hire the person who's just ready to go, who's like, who
Yeah.
ideally has, been involved with me before they're an employee. And they know the mission
Mm-hmm.
and they know how I operate. And once they come on, it's just a matter of, okay, man, like just do a little bit more, provide a little bit more value, and you're going to get paid for it. So yeah, I
100%.
haven't I haven't gone I haven't had to hire all that much up until this point, but I'm sure here
It's
soon it,
coming.
it might change.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming for sure. Because I mean, part of what I'm looking to build out is like the agency side of what I'm doing, and there's
Mm-hmm.
just not enough time in the day. Like all the B2C, the education, and all that I'm consumed in, like it's built around my personal brand, and I need to be there for that. If I'm not there, then I just become the next guy who like has a program but doesn't ever show up, doesn't help people, doesn't do anything like that. And that's not what I want to be. That's why the
Yeah.
B2B side of things, the sales rep placement and, sales team build outs and all that, I'm going to need a team for it. So
What's the vision for the next few years? I don't know if you've like shared this with like your audience, but what's the idea?
yeah, just like increase cash flow and put the cash flow into real estate. That's really it. Nothing
Okay.
too crazy. But I don't like I have everything kind of planned out so that I ideally do not ever have to go get a job again. Even though like my worst case scenario would be to like sell software or sell cars or sell something, which I'd still make 6 figures a year. Like it wouldn't be that bad. I want
Yeah.
to do everything in my power to like never have a job again. And what does that really mean? Like, oh, it means I'm probably going to work twice as hard just for myself, you know? So
Yeah.
that's the
But
vision,
that's the thing,
cash
like,
flow and real estate.
yeah, but you touched on the job thing again. Like one of the reasons I keep going is like you look back and you're like, no chance I'm going back into working corporate again. No chance at all. And like of course you would be able to succeed working like in sales for like this institution or something. But like there's just something so rewarding of like working on your own business, like delivering like like it's crazy. Like when we first started, like in helping other agency owners and seeing them actually get money out of the services that you do, like let's say first lead generation campaigns or something, and you're like, "Fuck!" You're actually doing something that brings value to people, and you're getting paid for it, right? All done by yourself. Like, how can a corporate job compare? Like, it could pay me half of what a corporate job pays. That I'll still happily do this, right? I think that's key.
Hmm.
Fulfillment over anything
Yeah,
else.
dude. Once you get that first, like, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 Stripe invoice, it ruins your perception of a normal job, right?
It's fucked. Yeah, but
It's
it's
so
fucked
hard. It's
also.
so hard to go back.
Okay, so let me pan out this question for you as well. Okay, another problem that I had in the beginning was like the monetary expectations, right? Because when you financial expectations, because when you work on your own business, right, you set goals. Usually, they tend to be financial goals, and those goals, nothing wrong with them because it's a metric you use to represent the value that you add to a different business, right? So if I do a good service and I get paid 10K, it means that I made those clients happy and I'm worthy of 10K for my service is worthy of generating 10K a month. Problem is, and where the question stems from, is that in the beginning I remember vividly. I was like, I need 3K for me. I'm paying my rent. I'm good. And then you're like, I need 10K. You get to 10K, and then you're like, I need to get to 25K. And then you get to 25K, and then you're like, I need to get to 50K. And like that thing just keeps on going. And I think to a certain extent, like it's also fucks up your morale a bit because business is not like this, right? It may be more like
Mhm.
this. And like if things go wrong for a second, you might feel a bit disencouraged because you're just like not on track to where you were supposed to be according to your expectations. So like, how do you focus on not being solely driven by profits? And yeah, how do you just work that in your head?
That's a good question, man. I like many times throughout the day, I try to separate myself from work as much as I can. One of them being the gym. I try to
Mm-hmm.
get outside and just like walk. Um, and in those times, I'm always thinking like for business owners, it's so easy to just think like, oh, I'm chasing 50K a month, 100K a month. I'm chasing an
Yeah,
exit, but then I'm thinking it's like I'm in the gym. Maybe it's 9 a.m. Maybe it's 12 p.m., 1 p.m., whatever time I get to go. Or I'm walking in the sun and I'm like getting like some good rays, some good tan, and I'm in that moment. I'm like, this is why I do it to like be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And it's like almost kind of putting it into the perspective that like the money is second to the life that I wanted to create for myself. And sure, like I have financial goals and I have more goals that I want to achieve lifestyle wise that I'm not at yet. But I think, yeah, like stepping away multiple times throughout the day and then being like, oh, dude, the fact that I get to go put gas in my car at 11:30 a.m. So it's so simple, but this like the
Yeah,
freedom to be able to do something so simple, it's like it's it's hard it's hard in the beginning when you're like actually like, dude, I need to make 3K, dude, I need to make 5K, but then you get to the point where it's like, dude,
yeah,
I just need to slow down because if you don't and you just stay like 24/7 money on your mind, like dude, you're gonna go crazy because when those dips, they happen in every business. Those dips are gonna destroy you.
yeah, 100%. But yeah, I hadn't thought about things in that perspective. Like logically, like you think about it, but not like it's kind of more subconsciously. Yeah, it's just normal for you to go to the gym at like 12, right? It's same thing as it is for me. Like if I want to go to the gym at midday, it's normal, right? You don't really think about I get to go to the gym at this time. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's once you go past like that phase and you go into an entrepreneurship, like how can you go back, right? Now fucking go to an office wearing a suit and tie to work for someone I don't want to work and to with people I don't want to work with. Fuck it.
Yeah. It's so hard too, because like the whole time, sure, you could go back and you could probably do a better job than most people, but like
Yeah,
the whole time you're there, you're thinking about something else. You're thinking about a business. You're thinking about what you want to do when you clock out, business wise.
yeah,
So like, yeah, man, my goal is to never go back to that, even if it means making. Well, no, I don't even want to say that. Like, if it means making less than I would in the business, because like
yeah,
I don't know. I wasn't on the finance track. Like I wasn't on the track where if I stay for 10 years, I'm going to be set for life. I was in just
yeah,
more of a traditional sales job. Even that, man, like you could be set if you stay in sales long enough. Um, but yeah, man, I don't want to go back. So you had one was it an internship or you said you got the job outside of school with the financial
yeah. I
company?
got a job. I got a job. Yeah, a Vanguard. I was a what would they call it? Customer relationship strategist. Some bullshit like that. Essentially, I was on the phone helping people with like making decisions on ET. Man, fuck that, bro. Looking back, I hated it. I really hated it. And the pay was good. It was like 5 grand a month. When you're 20 or 21, like starting out, it was good, yeah. But didn't, yeah. That's the point at which I realized like there's no money that will pay me to do something I don't want to do. And then I just took the leap of faith. Was unemployed for like 3 months, like just scouting and seeing what I could do. And then eventually that business idea came about.
Yeah. Do you ever see yourself, once you gain some really good skills and results in what you're doing now, do you ever see yourself building a business around like the finance area?
Yeah, for sure. Venture capital. Yeah, being able to invest into other businesses, I think it's sick. And like understanding like
Yeah.
potential in an idea. Yeah. That's something I'm attracted to. Not per se like the finance investing in, traditional assets, but like this investments, these alternative investments is something that interests me. Plus, I think it's sick. You just have a bunch of money to play with to invest in cool ideas, right? Like it doesn't
Mhm.
besides all the due diligence and all the technical paperwork and all the work you need to do in the background, it's a sick idea.
Yeah. You mentioned when you were first starting, you were thinking like, okay, I just need 3K for rent, then it turns to five, then it turns to 10 and all that.
Mm,
When you like quit your job to kind of go all in on entrepreneurship, at first the Web3 company, and then the lead gen agency, and now where you are,
yeah,
were you already kind of
yeah,
out on your own? Like you mentioned 3K for rent. Like how much more pressure did that add onto
a
everything?
lot, a lot, but a lot, yeah. Because my parents weren't supporting me. I was living abroad, like literally, like I was telling like this friend of mine, like failing is legit not an option. Like it can't not work. It has to work. And if it doesn't work, I'm fucked. But I'm gonna live in the streets or something. But it needs to work. But that's the pressure that you want, and that's what you need. Like you need like that stuff that makes you it makes you keep going forward, because now you look for like these small problems that you have, because you always have problems in business, like they're a piece of cake to handle, right? After that, and after being down bad, like I'm telling you, it couldn't have gotten worse than that. Living alone, post breakup, broke as fuck, trying to fucking have a clue of what it is to run a business in the agency space, having no clue about marketing, and somehow we managed to work it out. Yeah, there's hope, guys. If you're watching this and you have no clients and no clue what you're doing, there's hope.
Yeah, there's something about like putting your back against a wall like that, and just
Yeah.
taking the jump. Like most of the people in position like you or I, or people further than us, when you look back, they've been faced with an opportunity to do that before, and they took it, right? And it's not always like putting yourself in a position where you have $0 for rent and then you need to make money, but like to some extent, whether it's quitting your job or you know um, moving out
Uh-huh.
or moving across the country or whatever, like you put yourself in a situation where it's like, I don't want to find out what happens if this doesn't work, and then you just work way
Yeah,
harder and
that's it.
potentially.
The only thing worse, yeah, just to add on that, sorry to interrupt. The only thing worse than failure is regret. That's all I need to say.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Knowing
I
you
would
could
say
have done something and you didn't do
potentially
it.
yeah, I think maybe why I had a few different failed businesses at the time is because like when I was in school, I went to school, local university. Like I grew up in San Antonio, Texas. All my friends here, all my family here. It's a nice place to live. I got accepted into the university
Mm-hmm.
here. Like I had really no desire to go anywhere else. And when I was trying all these business ventures, it's like I never had to put my back against the wall because my parents, when I was in school, they always said, if you go to school here, while you're in school, you can live here for free. And so like I wasn't in a position yet. I mean, my back against the wall moment was maybe like, oh, once I graduate, I have to get the job, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I was not making money then, so I was like, the job is like better than where I am now. So I never had that like fire under my ass to do better until I got the job and I did it for a couple of years, and then I was like, is this it? Like I gotta figure out what's next for me.
Yeah.
So similar to you. You got the job and you were like, dude, this
Yeah.
sucks. My job didn't suck. I kind of liked it, but I was capped. I was capped at what I could do.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if you know, like the full scope of your skills is not being put to the test, I think that's the when you should decide to leave, right? Pay has nothing to do with it. I think, like, if you don't feel fulfilled, like you're doing something that it doesn't put you to the test, what's the point of doing it? You have to understand, like, your job comprises like the biggest portion of your day besides sleeping, of course. So like it needs to be something that you enjoy doing to a certain extent, right? So yeah,
Hmm.
each case is a case,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think the whole premise comes off of that.
yeah, I would
Yes,
agree with
sir.
that. So let's talk a little bit more about your experience, selling different services. Like I imagine you did sales for your lead gen agency, and maybe you
Mm-hmm.
did sales for the Web3. How did you?
Yeah,
I mean, man,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
did you study? Did you practice? How did you get where you are?
Good question. But you know, selling in the Web3 business is completely different because you're selling no, it's like you're selling the business idea for an investment, right? So I would have meetings with like VCs and family offices and private investors, and you're pitching, I need like second round, you're raising like 3 million or something. I need 3 million for this, and that, right? And that's a different way of selling because like there's so much bureaucracy going behind all of those things. But like that was my first introduction to sales. Like now, if I look back at it, like that's the first time I was actually trying to sell something. But the premise always is, and the principle is always the same. You sell based on the pain points. It doesn't matter what you sell as long as you sell the solution and not the service, right? And you'll attest to this as well. Like a sales call is well done when the prospect kind of digs his own grave, right? And talks to you about his pain points, admits that he has a problem that needs solving, and you, irrespective of what the solution is, what the service is, you can deliver a service that brings him closer to that solution. And he understands that your solution brings him closer to his dream outcome. And if that's the case, he sees value in your service and he sees a high perceived likelihood of achievement. So he's going to pay for your services. So I think sales is 100% psychology, nothing to do with what you're selling or anything.
Yeah. I would say a lot of people, especially now on this side of the internet, they get into sales because they see that they can make 10K to 30K a month in 90 days. Like they're following like some dream that they've been sold, right? And then they get in and they're like, they get in with an okay company and they're like, dude, I'm not selling anything. I'm not that good. And like maybe they invested in all this sales training and they're practicing and maybe they are good, but like the offer sucks. Like so many people nowadays are getting into sales thinking like, I'm the problem. When really you might be the problem, but you might be selling something that's fucking garbage. Like
unsellable.
Something that
yeah,
like something that is needed in the market, like it basically sells itself. And I think as a sales rep, yes, you should practice and get as good as you can be, but what's more important is finding something that is not difficult to sell. Like the vehicle is more important than skill, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And like it also another question for you, which is how, because for example, let's say like one thing is your business having a good offer, but then it also like there's so many different aspects that come like this is such a fallacy, like this thing of you'll make 30K in 90 days, because how good is the offer, how solid is the business, how is the whole structure set up, right? How informed are the prospects once they come to the call, how qualified are the prospects, how flexible are you on pricing? So how do you as a business owner and so my question essentially is, so your job as someone that places like these highly qualified sales teams comes down to looking at like organizations and understanding, is this a business I should put my best resources to, right? And allocate them. And that comes down to like the quality of the leads, the offer ultimately, but then also the way that the funnels are set up and everything else. So how do you look at a certain institution and you're like, it makes sense for me to allocate the best people that I have to this specific offer?
Yeah, so it's all based on data and based on numbers, like what they're currently doing, what they've done, how long they've been doing it for, existing sales team, what they make. Projections literally mean nothing because 90 to 95% of the time, it's just like a hopeful projection. And that's the issue. Like a lot of people get burnt in this space, like the high ticket sales space, because like people, they might be just starting their agency and they're like, I need an appointment setter and I need a closer, and we did 3K last month and we're gonna do, your OTE is gonna be like, your on target earnings is gonna be like $5,000 for the setter, 10 grand for the closer. Like, bro, your business doesn't even make that much. Like, how do you figure? Like, these people aren't just gonna plug in and start closing more deals if you don't have the lead flow. Or so I think everything comes back to data, man. I've recently put together like a master spreadsheet on like OTE calculation that all these members that I've got are going to get. But yeah, and also like the fulfillment is another thing, man. Like, are they doing what they say they do? Like, if they've been around for 3 years, 2 years, like you can bet that they're probably halfway doing what they say they do, right?
Yeah.
So the main thing is just a revenue, man. I want to see like revenue over a consistent time. I want to know more about the sales team and the expectations and stuff like that.
Do you think there's also in playing in that factor, like how much you believe in the actual project? Like, let's say a business itself might not be generating that much revenue, but you as a closer, like you wholeheartedly believe that the business will be successful because of principles, offer, you believe in the founder, you believe in the people that you're working with. And so you'll take the risk of potentially not making as much to start with, but in the long run, you know that this is an institution that you want to be part of. Are you going to take the risk? Does that play a role in your judgment?
Yeah, I think most of the people getting into this field are not sophisticated enough sales wise to be able to determine that. And a lot of people are just
Mm-hmm.
more grateful to get an opportunity to sell because, again, a lot of people get into this industry like as a make money online method. Not as like I've been a sales rep and this is a real option for me to push my career forward. Um, Most of the times it doesn't pan out. I've been a part of a team where like I come in, wasn't making as much as I was necessarily liking, but then I negotiated up in pay. We started doing more revenue, and then I got to the point where it became a good option for me. But yeah, most cases, man, I feel like it's just better to join in on something that's already working because this online
Yeah,
business stuff, man. It can fluctuate so much, and then
yeah.
companies here today, they're gone tomorrow. There's a lot of variables to it.
Yeah. I think that's the tough part of being like a closer and working like in the sales space. It's like the uncertainty. Like because at least that's the reason I wouldn't want to do it. Like I'm not in control of the outcome of my payout, right? I work mostly on a commission base. And so like yes, I might know how to sell, but you can't sell a bad offer to a good niche, right? There's no such thing as that.
Yep.
So many other things that affect like your earnings and everything else. I think you really need to have the cojones in place to be able to do that.
Yeah. I'm curious for you as a business owner, and we've talked about this a little bit, but for the sake of like maybe educating some people listening, when are you really looking to like bring on a closer? Like when do you feel it's right for your business?
When it's right for them as well. Like that's my motto as well. Like the only way that you get someone to do what you want them to do for you is if they want to do it themselves. So the only thing I can get someone motivated to close for me is if they're motivated to actually close for my business. So it needs to make sense from that perspective as well, which at this point in time I just don't think it makes that much sense. Like we're getting 15 calls a week or something. I'm just happy taking those calls. Founder-led sales, whole psychology behind those sales as well. Like if I could probably outsource someone, yes. If they're going to close at the same percentage as me, probably. But if I think it's the right time to make that move, not yet, because I'm more looking at building like a long and fruitful relationship with someone than just have someone come in and then leave me when there's a better opportunity down the line for them elsewhere, which I also respect. But I think that if you want to build like company culture and everything, like you need to have people that are going to stick with you through thick and thin, and that are going to stay because they want to stay in your business.
Yeah. What turned you? I mean, dude, you've been doing this for some time now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure at some point you were thinking, like, man, it would just be so easy for me to like hire in a part-time closer and then get a lot of my day back, and I could focus on this, this, and this. Um, I mean, do you like? I like the way you've done it, so I'm just curious, like, to see your mindset around it because I think like before you hire a sales rep, you should
Mm.
have sold plenty of it yourself so that you can
Yeah,
understand what they're
of
going
course,
through.
of
But
course.
there's so many agency owners out there, man. They're like they hire from day one. They're looking for
They
sales
have
reps.
no.
It's like what do you think is different about you to where you're like you're this far in and you're still like, dude, I got 15 calls a week, like founder led sales. I don't mind it.
Yeah,
Um, why do you think you're different in that way?
because I'm optimizing for efficiency, right, and revenue generating opportunities, and these other people they're optimizing for comfort, right? That's the same reason why people that start a business they're like, like my problem is with outreach. I'm just gonna get a VA to do it. Okay, go ahead. You're fucking gonna ruin your business in no time because like and this like I've done email marketing myself, right? Everything that we do besides like even teaching people how to sell a bit, like I've done it. So I know what it is that you're doing when you're talking to these people and coaching them. I know what it is like to set up email marketing campaigns. I know all of that because I've done it myself. So you only get to a point in which you outsource someone when you've done it yourself, you know that it works, you have a validated system that it works, and then you look into other areas and then you hire someone to come do that for you so that you can delegate your time into whatever it is that it's more pressing at that specific point in time. But now hiring just for the sake of hiring and because you think, oh, I can't close, and that's because I'm a bad closer and I'm going to get someone. No, you can't close because your offer is shit, right? Yeah, you might not be the greatest salesman on earth. You might not be Jordan Belfort or whatever it is, or Grant Cardone, but at the end of the day, like it's deeper than just a sales problem. It's more of like an offer problem. So solve that first, get that validated, and then look for someone when you absolutely have no chance but to.
Yeah. When I work with people, it's so easy to address, like just in sales, man, it's so easy to address the smoke screen, right? It's too easy.
Yeah.
So when people come to me and they're like, dude, I'm having problem with this objection. I'm having problems with, these leads not being qualified or whatever the case is. I'm like, dude, this starts before the sales call. So we need to go fix that first. All the time, man. It's like, there are ways to where you get on a call with somebody, or there's ways to make sure that everybody you hop on a call with are not going to give you, I mean, for the most part, not going to give you these objections that you have control over, like the partner, the money objection, the timing objection, and stuff like that. And it can all be done before the call. The issue with like when I'm working with sales reps is like they may not have the control to make those changes. When I'm working with agency owners or business owners, it's like, yeah, we're going to go and we're going to fix all this stuff because sure, I can teach you how to handle this objection, or how about I teach you how to avoid it altogether?
Yeah.
Which
100%
is usually more effective.
But people want the easy way out all the time. They don't want to do what is actually the right thing to do. And that's why the majority of the businesses fail, right? Because sometimes all the times, like the best path is never the easiest path, right? It's the one that has the most hard work. That's why business is hard. And that's why, it takes a lot of effort and time and learning to get to a stage where you want to get to, or where we're trying to get as well. Like it's as simple as that. There's no shortcut to anything in life that's worth it.
It's so different now because not everybody, but most of the people that are getting into online business, they discovered this shit through a funnel, through somebody else's funnel who was selling them a dream, and they're like, oh, you could start an agency and make 10K a month. Oh, you could get into high ticket sales and make 10K a month. They didn't discover this through like some dude on YouTube who's documenting the process, and he has like 300 subscribers, but he's like really thorough. Like, so everybody comes in with expectations that, oh, it's easy, bro. It's online business. Like, I'll just do this, and this. I'll go to the beach and I'll take, I'll close a sales call a day, and it's gravy, man.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's not that. It's honestly probably the opposite.
Exactly, but that's the whole point. Like that's what they want to sell you on, right? Like I remember perfectly, like looking at like Iman's videos or like any of these other fucking so-called gurus. Yeah, like you need 3 clients and you have time, location, and then financial freedom. It's that easy, right? You outsource a guy from Bangladesh or from Pakistan, contractor arbitrage. You have no clue what he's doing, but you're keeping your clients happy. You're making 10K a month in under 90 days. Easy. Go ahead and do it. Why do they do that? Because they want to sell you on their kind of way of getting you to that dream outcome. So once again, like basic foundation of business, you have a pain point, aka you're broke. They have a solution, or they know what your dream outcome is, which is to get those 3 pillars of freedom. They're going to sell you on your dream and the service, and the way that they do so, either through being to appointment setting, sales programs, courses, it's irrelevant, right? They just want to get you there, and they have to sell you on the dream to do so. So all of these people that get backlash from doing course and whatever, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't agree with that. I think that you're the one that's stupid for falling into that shit and thinking that's going to solve your problems. But that's a topic for a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I'm a fan of courses, but I think you need to set the right expectation. You need to, well, as a buyer, you need to have the right expectations going in. As a course provider, you need to not market like an idiot, because that's how your shit gets burnt down fast. You start telling people, putting crazy guarantees, and hey, you can make 10K a month from anywhere in the world, and you're enrolling people who are spending their last dollar thinking
Yeah,
that you're
bro.
going to
Like,
change their life when really you don't even show up to the program. It's like, no, dude. That's why everything I do,
yeah,
like, bro, you'll never see me market what I do in the way that, like, oh, make 30K a month in 30
yeah,
days, or do whatever. Because to be honest, like in sales, 30K a month, that's like that's a 1% deal. And I know people doing it, but
yeah,
like it's a 1% thing. What like the way I will market is by like screenshotting what people are getting done inside and just posting it. I do it every day, and
yeah.
it works really well because people come into what I do and they have really manageable expectations. Like they're not
Mm-hmm.
thinking that I'm going to come in here and change their life overnight. Well, I've seen it happen. I'm not gonna take like the best case study that I have and use that as like
The
my
norm.
base level marketing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
messed up.
yeah.
And
One hundred
I
percent
get it,
agree with
man.
it.
Like, I mean, I understand it. I'm not gonna say I get it because like when you're a coach and you're making 100K, 200K a month, and it's like, oh, I got this case study. Like, if I blast this out and I put money behind it in paid ads, like, we'll make 300, we'll make 400, and it's so easy to just like fall into that. But
Yeah,
then, I mean, everything
yeah,
you do is often paid traffic versus like word of mouth, because then people get in your shit and they're like, dude, why am I not making the money that I thought I was going to make? Why
yeah.
am I not
But it,
getting connected to the job that I thought I was going to get connected to?
true. And like
It's
these
a
people
tough world out there.
with like these people with courses, like one of the guys that is in the SMA space and is not Iman, and I'm not gonna name drop him, but like I'll tell you after who it is. He's like making 400 a month, something like that, selling courses, right? And I hopped on a call with him, the actual guy who sells the courses, also YouTuber, huge audience, whatever it is. And the guy himself is so disconnected from what it is to run an agency at this point in time, had no notion of what an appointment setter is, had no idea of like basic stuff that you do running an agency that's making 10K a month, right? Because like you're so out of the trenches. Like that's the same thing with Iman. And like I'm like, for people watching this, I'm not burning him and I'm not like shitting on anything that he does. I take the hat off, and one of the reasons I started is because of him as well. But like these people, you have to understand, like they're so fucking disconnected from what you're trying to do. Like what worked 5 years ago is not working today. Like I did his course as well, and like you get sold on this like easiest way for you to do it, e-commerce businesses because they have the most capital, and paid advertising because it's the easiest way for you to outsource someone and to do it, right? What they don't take into account is that that's the most commoditized service in the most saturated niche, right? And if you sell one thing to 2,000 people, and if those 2,000 people go on and try to replicate what you did 5 years ago, that doesn't work today, then one, that's going to backfire on you, and two, those people are not going to be successful. So like it kind of flaws the whole principle of you having a successful business comes from the uniqueness of what you're offering to your audience, and what you're offering to the people that you're helping out. So like even though like these
Yeah.
courses are helpful in a way, like you have to take it with a pinch of salt because it's not going to change your life, and like there's a huge disconnect between the person who's doing the course and yourself.
Yeah. That's 100% part of the reason why I still am a sales rep. That's part of the reason why I still take all of my sales calls. Like that's intentional because I want to have my ear to the street when things change. I want to know, and
Yeah.
everything that I offer to these guys, like, is very, very. I'm very involved. Like most of my day is spent in my Slack group, going back and forth with people and doing all that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another good point too. And I've seen it. Like these agency owners, maybe they get to 10K a month, 20K a month, but then they get so out of touch because they start making 10x that with a course, and then they so much change. Like with an agency versus sales, there's so many more moving parts, and a couple of these moving parts change over a few months, and like then your methods are outdated, your course is not going to get the results.
Yeah.
So um
And it's crazy,
super
like
super
because
pump.
you know this because you're in the space as well, right? So you look at these guys, right? They sell a course, they make money on the course, then they make more money out of the software that they sell from the course, and then affiliate links and all of this stuff. And so if you're looking at someone that 99% of their revenue is coming from anything but an agency, how
Yep.
practical is the advice that they're giving you, right? And that's like why the advice that you give the people that you help with makes so much sense, and like why what you're doing is valuable is because you're in there and you do this. You're not selling you're not selling a dream. You actually know about the stuff. You face these objections every day. You take these calls every day. You know what it is to be a closer. It's not like you closed deals, you made like 100 grand, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to just start a community and start helping people, even though I have no clue of what it is to sell in the 21st century, right? Or like in the last 3 years. So yeah, but
Yeah.
it's, you know what, like the
When
part that pisses me off. So sorry to interrupt, but yeah, triggers me. Like the part that pisses me off is like that no one sees this if you're not in the space, right? If like all of these NPCs, for want of a better word, they look at these videos and they're like, oh, this guy is a giga chad, fucking god, right? He's made 1 mil. He's chilling in a yacht in the Maldives and that, bro. He's so sick. I just need to start my agency, do his course. I'm going to be successful. But you're so dumb because you're not seeing everything else that he's doing in the behind the curtains and how he actually makes this money. So just fucking retarded. But yeah, sorry to interrupt.
yeah, that's funny, dude. Do you ever think you'll get to the point? Look, man, if you get your agency across, I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when you get your agency to 100K a month, and then people start
Mm.
coming to you and they're like, Bernardo, like, dude, I'll pay you money to show me what you've done. Like, do you ever see yourself putting something together based on what you know?
I mean, the coaching is kind of that, right? But it's different because you're not like, because the course from a business model is awesome because you do it once and you sell it to hundreds of people without putting one single marginal of additional work, unit of marginal unit of additional
Yep.
work, right? But the problem is, but we just talked about it, so I'm not going to go over it again. But with like actual coaching, every time changes, right? And it's interactive, and you get to talk to people that are in the trenches. So I can never say never because you never know what's behind the corner. But no, I don't think I would do a course. I would rather stick to the coaching. One, because you make more money out of it. Instead of selling like 1K for a year, you sell like 2.5K a month. Makes more sense, and you add more value as well. So I don't think I would go into a course.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest difficulties that you have selling what you sell to the people that you sell it to? So B2B market, usually earlier stage agency owners. Like, what are some of the biggest hurdles that you have to overcome?
I think financial is always the biggest one, right? Like it's what we do is expensive because we're one of the best doing it, and we do a lot of things at the same time, which means that you need to pay for it because it takes us a lot to also get the flywheel going. So I think financially that's one of the issues, probably the main issue. And then it's, I think selling always comes down to the person that you're selling to, understanding that where you're selling them will get them closer to where they want to get, right? So let's say I'm doing 25K a month. I want to get to 50K. I'm going to spend 5 grand a month with you, but I know that those 5 grand are a good investment because I'm going to get 50K out of it in 6 months, right? So I think if they understand that, you go over the biggest hurdle because then it's just formalities like objections that you can handle and all that sort of stuff. That's what I would say, but mainly qualification because especially like the coaching program it is expensive for what it is, right? At this point in time, it's like 2.5 or whatever it is. But the thing is, like, if you're selling to people that are making 10K, it's 25% of what they're making at that specific point in time, which might have been a one-off month, right? It went really well. They closed 2 clients. They made 10K. So it's also a big investment. But yeah, I mean, I think those are the two biggest hurdles.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, I feel like that's pretty common, no matter who you're selling to.
Yeah.
Um, I think, dude, as a from a sales rep perspective, it's definitely harder to sell to like earlier stage businesses than it is to sell like a coaching program to somebody who wants to get started, depending on what you sell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just because like you're dealing with a different type of prospect, and I don't want to say it's like I don't want to say it's like more difficult. It's just different, and it's a little bit more logical, a little bit more tactical. If you don't know what the heck you're talking about, you don't know about their business, like you're
Yeah.
not going to be able to get the job
So
done.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
How
One
much
hundred percent.
how much either research or like information are you trying to get from your prospects before you get on a call with them?
Good question. I think there was a point in time in which I would get on a call with anyone, right? As long as there's like this sliver of a chance of being able to close them, I would get on the call. But usually, like you try to get basic qualification answers done when talking to a prospect. Like you want to know how much they're making, main issues that they're suffering, just so you don't go completely blind into the call, right? But even in that case, like I don't think like it's a huge issue, right? Like the information you want to get, you can very easily get it in 10 minutes. Like my sales calls usually take like 30 minutes, right? 10 minutes to qualify, 10 minutes to like present the solution, and the other 10 minutes just going over like, okay, this is what it costs, any objections, go around it, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's typically the framework of these sales calls.
Yeah. So 30-minute calls.
But yesterday I had like one for an hour and 15. Yeah, so it really depends. Yeah,
As long as you closed it, man.
as long as you close them. I think it's
All right,
also
man.
important. Just before you let me go, I think it's also important, like, and you'll tell me this, like, disqualify them straight away if you know they're not going to close. There's no worse thing than being in a sales call, and I would do this all the time in the beginning, and you're just there like this, just fucking, okay, I'm not going to close you. I'm not going to close you. There's no chance of that happening. You don't have the money, or you're just not a fit. So if it doesn't make sense, just tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, I'd cancel calls before. Like if they pop on my calendar and I can see they're not qualified, I'll cancel it and write a little note. Hey, you know, finances not
You're
enough
broke.
at this time. Or,
Yeah.
they see the canceled invite, it just says you're broke. That's
Broke.
funny.
Yeah.
All right, so what are
Sweet.
I don't know, is there anything last minute sales wise that you think would be helpful to appointment setters or closers based on your experience?
Sales wise, I mean, not sales wise, business wise, I would just say if you keep going at what you're doing for a prolonged period of time, there's no chance that you're not going to succeed. The only chance that you'll fail is if you quit. Very simply put. So keep going, and you'll find a way. Even if you start with an offer that doesn't make sense, or you have your first sales gig and an offer that doesn't work, as long as you like don't lose motivation and you keep like striving for a bigger purpose that you have in life, and like try to keep working towards your goals, there's no way that you're going to be unsuccessful in the long run. Just put in the work, and the outcome will come in due time.
Yeah. And it'll compound fast too, especially if you're doing your own thing. You get to
Yeah.
3K, you keep doing that, you make some tweaks, you get some results, then you get to 5, 10, 20, 30, you take it from
Boom, boom,
there.
boom. Yeah.
But
Yes, sir.
man, I think good episode, a lot of good insight into what it's like to start start your own business, scale it up to where you've got yours, kind of juggle, wear all these different hats, take your sales calls, sell to your
Yep.
B2B agency type audience.
Hmm.
For any of those people listening that want to either connect with you or potentially work with you, where would you want to direct them?
So you can just reach out on my Twitter. I take care of all DMs that come through, so no appointment setters. You'll be talking to me directly, or you can just reach out to us on our website, or even through you, since you're helping us out as well. So any of those avenues work. Happy to help as much as possible, whenever possible.
Yeah, so I'm gonna link that stuff below. And yeah, if you didn't know already, I'm working with Bernardo. So if you got any questions about this, reach out to him, reach out to me. Uh, we'll take it from there, man. But no, I appreciate you. I think again, I think it's 16, one for the books,
Hmm.
and this one should be going
Yes,
out
sir.
not next Monday, but the Monday after. So we'll see it live then. All right, man. See you. You too.